Happy Monday, everybody, or whenever you end up watching this. This practice is going to probably be, I'd say, about 40 minutes long. At least that's my intention. And it's going to be hips and shoulders, definitely more towards the earth. So there'll be a little bit getting up and down, but it won't be a big chaturanga class or anything like that. It's going to be more focusing on creating some space and getting you a little bit more rooted to the earth, because you may or may not be feeling it with the seasons changing and the full moon, and even today with the rain and the wind. It sometimes can make us feel like we need to get more earthbound. So if you're in the mood to really rock and roll, this probably isn't going to be your jam, but you'll still get something out of it without a doubt. And you can always add in push-ups and things where I'm not necessarily doing them. So totally your call. Tanks in for the laying down on the mat part. So so I'm just going to shift over to my spot. If you have blocks, it'd be helpful. And if you have a strap or something that could be used as a strap, and I'm just going to use this today, it's a rubber thingamajiggy, it's be a good thing to have nearby. And so just to start, if it's okay to come into heroes or shapes similar to heroes, to give that a shot. If not, cross-legged is fine, and I'll tell you halfway through. Sorry, I'm getting warm already. Just thinking about moving and I got warm. And just give yourself a moment here as you're sitting tall to just breathe. Breathe maybe through your nose or through your mouth, and elongate your spine, using your erectors to help you sit up nice and straight, and use your hands to support you where you need to, especially if you're feeling a little tweaky in your low back, your hips, or anything else like that. Ready. And then just let your chin start to drop in towards your chest, letting your right ear start to come over towards the right shoulder, and then stretch out through your left hand. If you want to lean further that direction, you can let your right hand come down towards the ground, really reaching out through your left fingers. And then take the same left arm and just sweep it up and over, really lengthening out through your side waist. And then your choice, you can stay just like you are, or maybe you roll your chest down a little bit, maybe you roll your chest up a little bit, just giving yourself some space to breathe, to move. And then let the left arm drop back down, sink your right ear in towards your right shoulder, or perhaps a little bit more. And then let your left hand come all the way down. You can use your right hand to help you bring your head back to the center. My hair is making my face itchy. And then let your chin drop in towards your chest. And then left ear over towards the left shoulder. And then at first, maybe just playing with floating the right arm, seeing how that affects things around your neck. And then you can let your left hand come down, maybe you lean a little further, but I'm still trying to press down to the right sits bone rather than rocking my weight way over. And then you can sweep that right arm up and over, lengthening out through your side waist. Try to drop your left shoulder away from the ear, or you might even move it a little bit. You can roll your chest down. And then letting your right hand kind of hover back down towards the ground, left ear towards left shoulder. And then let the right hand come down. You can press off with your left hand. You might use your hand to help you come up the last bit. And then press your arms forward, just hollowing out your back and hollowing out your belly, opening your back. And then open the arms out wide and press the chest. If you'd rather put your fingertips down, go for it. And then let yourself round forward. So think like an exaggerated cat and cow. And then draw yourself wide open. One more time, rounding, and you might even get a little extra press here. And then just come up towards a neutral spine, a long spine again. Reverse the cross of your legs if you're in a cross-legged seat. If you do have a strap or something like a strap, grab it. If you don't sweat it, because you can always just move the arms independently of each other. This just gives a little bit more resistance. So the distance of your hands you'll know, because you want to be able to complete a full circle. See how I kind of struggle there a little bit, but I can still do it. And if it's too much sensation, make whatever you're using longer. And if it's actually kind of like swatting you off the forehead on the way by, you might want to make it a little bit shorter. What's nice about this, because it is elastic, I can give a little bit more space to myself coming through and still have a decent amount of resistance. You'll probably find when you get just past your ears, somewhere around here is where you'll get the most sensation, but you know, everyone's a little different. And then let yourself kind of lean off towards the left. You can keep the right arm long at first, or if you want, bend the right elbow like you're starting to draw the arm behind you. And come on up. And then just stretch the left arm up and over. So if you're just tuning in, this is going to be hips and shoulders, about 40 minutes, give or take. And it'll be a little bit more close to the ground, a little bit more grounded. We will move, but it's not gonna be a lot of push-ups or anything of that nature. Come back up high. So if you're missing that and you want it, you can always add it in. Pull the elbows down, kind of like you're doing a lat pull. And then let your arms come forward and round your spine. And depending on if you have something to actually put in your hands, you could hook them like around your knees and give yourself more to kind of lean back. And then let whatever you're holding kind of shift off to the side. Keep it within somewhat reach. And then just take a twist one direction. It doesn't matter which one first. And then come over and twist the other way. He's very excited. He's having his sweet potato treats. He has to go to the vet today for his regular annual exam. I'm going to the vets a lot. And then come back towards the center. And then here, just start to let yourself come through. I'm going to face the camera again in a moment so you can see what I'm doing with my shoulders. But for the time being, let yourself come into hands and knees, whatever way that feels right for you. And then just take a few rounds of cat and cow. So hollow out your belly. And then sink your belly. Lift your heart, lift your tail. And coil up and back. And it might feel good to really push the floor away. Bit of a wiggle in your shoulders. Ooh, maybe yawn. Rainy days make you sleepy. And drop the belly. Squeeze your shoulder blades. And then eventually just coming into more of a neutral spine, a long spine. Press down into your right hand, take the left arm up. Left arm's gonna thread underneath the right, and then once you get your head and shoulder to the ground, maybe extend the right leg out towards the side. Your right arm can stay where it is. I like to wrap it behind me sometimes or use it to press the right thigh away. You might even decide to extend the arm forward. Just let yourself kind of experiment. You don't have to do the same way every time. I actually recommend that you don't. And then bring your right hand back underneath you. Open the left arm up towards the sky. Then exhale, just sit back, hips towards your heels, like you're in a half child's pose, a little bit more length on your right inner thigh. Then slide your left hand out in line with your left shoulder. Lift up, press up, so coming in towards Parigasana gate pose. Then roll the right shoulder down as you come up. Let your toes turn out a little bit, and then come on up and over, so it looks like you're in a side angle, but close to the ground. Then inhale, pull back up, left hand to your hip or back down to the ground, pick up the right leg. Swing it behind you, right hand down, left arm forward. If it's uncomfortable to be on one hand, you can keep both hands down. Elbow in to meet the knee, and then extend it back out long. Elbow in to meet the knee. Extend it back out long. The next time the knee is close, perhaps reach back towards the right foot with the left hand and use it to help pick up the left shoulder. If you need to let go of the foot, that's totally fine. Now take a moment, extend the right leg behind you, left arm forward. There's one more thing. Bend the left elbow, open the left arm out to the side. Bend the right knee. See if you can float it out to the side. So this takes some work. And then you can get your right hand out of the way, use your left hand as you need to. Swing the right leg up. So you're in a half split. And you can always be up onto your blocks if you want it. Then just let yourself sink in towards the knee. And then pull back. Heart high or low. Sink in. Hi, buddy. And then pull back. Who's your boy? One more time. Sink in. Pause here for a moment. You might even drop your right knee open. You can use your hand to help make that happen if you'd like to. And then this time, bring your hands down. Just slide that right shin back to meet the left shin. Hips high, arms forward. Either puppy pose or child's pose will work too. And then slide all the way out to the belly. We'll do the other side in a moment. Take your right arm out to the side, but flip your palm to face up. Bend the left knee, push into your left hand. Just roll the left foot behind you. Hi. You want to get closer? Oh, perfect. I can't scratch it the whole time I do the hand. And then when you're ready here, let yourself roll back down towards your belly. You see I'm trying to get my hand. And then let your right hand come out. Left arm extends. Turn the palm to the sky. And then roll the right toes behind you. Maybe you're using the right hand to scratch a puddle. Extend it over. Reach it long. Whatever feels good for you. And then when you're ready, just come on back down towards your belly. Slide the left hand in and then press yourself up and back. Hands and knees, or maybe you'd rather have a moment in down dog just to get away from the floor for a second and press your chest back, whatever feels good for you. And then here, just slide your shins back down to the mat, and then just come back in. Come back into your rounds of cat and cow. So hollowing out the belly, and then sinking the belly, lifting the heart and the tail. Coil up and back, chin to chest, whatever feels good for you. A little wiggle of your hips perhaps. Sinking down. Now this time as you come into a neutral spine, pause for a moment. Press down into your left hand, right arm up to the sky this time. And then right arm underneath the left. You can extend the left foot out towards your right hand. And then you can choose, left arm can be used on the ground, wrapping, pressing, petting, whatever's going to help you in the moment to get a little deeper in. Think of the more you roll your chest down, truly that's usually where you'll get a deeper stretch. Then keep the left leg extended unless it's not okay. Press down into your left foot and left hand. Open the right arm up. Then sit back, letting yourself reach towards your right heel and elongate through the left leg. Like I'm actively stretching through the left foot. And then as you start to come forward, slide the right hand out in line with your right hip, opening up your left side waist. And then here, letting yourself bend into the left knee, turning the toes out if they're not already. Right arm can stretch. And then draw yourself back up, back towards the Parigasana shape, but this time pick up the left leg. Swing it behind you, left hand down, right arm forward. You can keep both hands down if that's better in your wrist. Coil in, elbow to meet the knee. And then lengthen it out. And then coil in and up. And extend back out long. One more time, coil in. Now while it's close, maybe reach back towards your left foot with the right hand, pressing the foot to lift your heart to the sky. And then one more time, extend it out long. Now take your right elbow in line with the right shoulder and float. Left knee in line with your left hip and then float. And then use your hands as you need to swing the left leg up towards a lunge. And of course, you can always use your blocks. Bend in towards the knee. And then draw back. I don't think you can see my toes, but just in case, I've had black nail polish on my fingers and toes for a couple of weeks and I took it off. And I can't get it all off of my toes, so it kind of looks like my toes are really dirty. So I apologize. I will correct this later today. Now bend in towards your left knee. You can use your left hand to give the leg a press. Right knee can be high or low. How you doing, Bubble? I know, it's a tough day. And then you can let your hands come on down. Just gonna let yourself slide the left shin back to meet the right. Heart dropping down, hips might stay high, or you can come into child's pose. Roll forward all the way down to your belly again. Now this time, instead of keeping the right arm long, bend the right elbow, so it's more like a goalpost, and shift it forward just a little bit. That's just gonna help kind of keep you in a good space in your shoulder. And this is gonna be a little deeper, maybe a lot deeper, stretch for your chest and your pec. So left hand to the ground, bend the left knee, rolling open. You're trying to let your head relax to the ground. I know mine doesn't really want to either. Give it another breath. Why do you look so sad? You're not sad. Oh. And then come back to the center. Take your left arm, again, bent elbow, maybe a little bit elbow in front of your shoulder. Press into the right hand. And then roll the right toes behind you. And for me, like this is truly my right arm, not my left. And so I find my dominant arm is not happy about this. Give it another chance just to settle. And then come back down towards your belly. This time, slide your forearms a bit closer to you. And then just pick up one leg, stretch it, pick up the other, stretch it back. And then press into your forearms and just drag your heart forward. Kind of push the ground away. You can take a peek over your right shoulder. And I'm really stretching through my legs. My legs are very active right now. Look over your left shoulder. And then eventually, as you bring your gaze to the center, you can either just let yourself press up and back to child's pose or take the hands a little bit closer if you want a bit of a deeper cobra or maybe even up dog. I'm going to be doing more cobras today, but you can always do up dog. And then letting yourself release. And then press up and back. And this time, downward facing dog. And more so we have a chance to lift up the legs and kind of open it up, but you could totally be in dolphin if you prefer. Be mindful here, like for myself, if I really sink in, this is being hypermobile in my shoulders, I have to kind of wrap my shoulders in, my inner elbows in, to kind of keep myself supported. lifting up through your belly, Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, so lifting through your belly and your pelvic floor. Your drishti, your gaze is toward your belly button, and not necessarily that you can see it, like I can't see mine, but it's that you're dropping your head and letting yourself look up rather than looking towards your fingers. Looking to the fingers would be more if you were starting movement. And then ground into your left foot, take the right leg up to the sky. Now bend the knee if you want to open the hip, maybe even let yourself play with the chest rolling open. And I know like we say square off the chest a lot, but the thing I like to do is the first time I like to really just let it roll, but then eventually close it. You just don't want to do that all the time. Then pull the right knee into your belly, slow motion, maybe even use your hand to help it, and come up towards a lunge. Lower down the left shin. Then walk your hands up, either onto blocks or onto your thigh. I'm going to press into the top of your left foot, wiggle the knee back a little bit, and then what I want you to think about is trying to get some space between your right hip crease and right thigh. So meaning instead of leaning forward to sink low, keep your chest up higher. And it might mean that you can't go as low into the lunge. If you're comfortable with it, let yourself sink down. But I'm pressing into the blocks to keep the heart high. Your thigh would be even higher, so maybe the thigh is a better place for you. And then let yourself come forward, forearms down to the block or to the inside of the leg. Pull your left heel towards your left glute. So right now, not holding it, purposely drawing it in, so you're kind of working more through your hamstring strength, but opening up the quad at the same time. Now from here, spin the left foot down behind you. Inhale, come on up into the Parigasana shape, but take your left hand down, open the right arm up. You can straighten out the right leg if you wish. Now here's where it's going to be a little bit different. If you've never done half frog, half straddle, you might want to watch me first. Let the right arm circle down. Now I'm going to move the blocks just so you can see my foot and the difference. Here, I'm going to roll my toes forward. I'm on the inside of my right foot. I'm taking the left knee out wider. And so I'm sitting back so my left leg is in frog, my right leg is in a straddle. Now you could keep the left heel and the left knee closer to you so it's more like half child's pose. And then I like this pose so I actually sink pretty deep into it. And then your right foot, you can either try to bring the arch of the foot down, maybe you're pointing the foot to the ceiling, maybe you're pointing the foot away. It really just depends on what feels safest in your knees, your joints, and your inner thighs. Now here, you'll probably want to stay on forearms or even on a block, but if you have the ability to sink your head and chest down, we're just going to pause for a moment. So this is going to be kind of the pace and the type of movement we'll be doing through this practice. So again, I'm not offended whatsoever if it's not what you're in the mood for. If you don't want to stay tuned, you can always come back and watch it later if you want to change your mind. But you could always throw in some chaturangas if you want to. Now from here, go kind of slow. And if it feels awkward to pull yourself back up, you could always kind of play with pulling in the right leg and then softening the weight off of your left leg. But here, I'm just going to press leg, I'm doing a push-up, but it's more just to lift my body. Heel toe in my right foot a bit, just to give it some space. And then as I start to pick up the left knee so I'm not dragging, come back over the right leg, just in a lunge for a moment. And then from here, just going to press down into my hands and just take it up and back. Down dog or dolphin, take the right leg to the sky. And then take a moment to let the left leg come up, because both legs were getting some work there. You can bend the knee, open the hip. Again, you might play with rolling the chest open a little more, but just do the degree that feels right for you. But then get connected, zip up through your belly, square off the hips, and then pull the left knee through towards your hands. And then lowering down the right shin for the time being. But again, make sure you're not on the kneecap. You might have to scoot it back a little bit. You can walk your hands up. Try to lift the chest while you're sinking the hip. And there may not be a huge gap of space between this left hip and thigh, but what you're trying to avoid is laying over the thigh. So think of either hands to the blocks, maybe hands to your quad. Sink the hips, but lift the heart. You know, if you really like this shape, you might lift up and open your throat, but notice how I'm still keeping a little bit of a tuck of the chin, so I'm not collapsing my head back, and kind of there's a potential to pinch the vagus nerve there, which can just make you uncomfortable. It's not going to do, irreparable damage. But give another breath. And then from here, just take a moment to pull back. You might just want to lengthen your leg for a moment just to give yourself that space. And then start to sink in towards the left leg. Again, your arms can be high or you might come down towards the block. Try to pull the right heel towards your glute. And you can either like fully extend and then bend again, or maybe you're kind of pulsing it in, because the idea here is you're trying to fire up the hamstring a little bit while still opening up your right quad. Another breath, maybe pause as you squeeze the heel in. And then when you're ready to here, you can start to lift up. Swing the left foot behind you. Now, inhale at first, it's the Paragosana shape, and it's mostly so you can get the weight off of your left hip for a moment, opening it up. And then letting yourself come on up and over. You might slide into that side angle-like shape. And then here, when you start to come up, this is when you'll have to readjust your hands a little bit. Start to press out through your left foot. I'm going to move the block so you can see. Now, if I sit back here, this is half child's pose, half straddle. To be in the frog, I need to move that right leg out a little bit. And then again, sinking in. And play with the positioning of your left foot as far as toes down, toes up, pointing out to the side. You might find one feels better for you. And then you can either keep your chest lifted or you can sink your heart down towards the earth. Sorry for the view. This will be an interesting time for someone to tune in. Give it a couple of breaths. And you can play with letting your hips rock back a little bit, come forward. I try to move super mindfully when you're in these kind of weight-bearing positions where you might have a lot of weight in a knee or hyperextending a knee even, and just to be careful. About 2 more breaths because I feel kind of silly with my butt to the camera. And then when you're ready, you can ground down into your hands, start to draw the upper body up. You might heel toe the left foot in a little bit closer just to help take some of the weight off. Shift with the right foot come behind you and sink back in towards that left leg for a moment. And then from here, down dog or dolphin if you would prefer, just letting yourself press up and back. Take the left leg to the sky and bend the knee, open the hip. And then just lower the left foot down to meet the right foot. Start to walk your feet up towards your hands. And then from there, just take a moment just to take a seat. So from here, I'm just turning to face you just so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Just extend your left leg long and then twist to the right. You can use your right hand to help elongate. Now, I'm going to add in just a really sneaky little core thing in the middle. If you don't want to do it, you'll just end up twisting to the other side. Give it a breath where you are. Now here, unwind the twist, lengthen out your leg. Try to reach the arms forward, lower down. Try not to swing, and then see if you can lift back up. And then just bend your left knee and give a twist towards the left. Left hand can be behind you, right arm can be helping you deepen the twist. You can look over the left shoulder, it's kind of natural to do so, but looking over the right shoulder helps make it a little softer on your neck. And then come back to the center. Again, if you want the sit up, it's just up to you. Lowering down, you're trying to keep your heels down and trying to really pull in deep from the core rather than swinging. Draw yourself up. And then this time bring your feet into Baddha Konasana, bound angle. Let your right hand come behind you. Think not that you're pushing down, think that you're guiding out. And use your left hand and just kind of press away. You can give a bit of a twist to the right if that feels good. And then unwind that, and then give a press on the right leg. And again, I'm not trying to force the leg straight down, I'm thinking away. And then that's why I'm leaning a little bit more to the left. And then here, come to the center. Again, a little ab moment. You can reach down towards your toes. Those of you who would rather, you can just fold forward or start to draw the legs up. Coming into Navasana. You might even take them out wide. Try to sit up really tall. If you roll over backwards, no big deal. Just try to get back up. Bring them back together. And then here, try to float without tipping over. And then slowly just lower your legs down. And then from here, you can cross over the ankles if you'd like to, rolling through. Come on down towards your belly. You can jump. Again, I'm keeping it pretty chill this morning, but you can totally add the fire if you want it. Bring your forearms down to the mat. Lengthen through your legs. Now, I really squeeze my glutes. I keep my legs super active when I'm doing this, and you could always curl the toes under if you needed to, so if your feet are getting crampy. But start to press into your forearms, draw the heart forward. Now, if you'd like to, maybe pick up the elbows, but I'm not trying to lift straight up. I'm trying to make my low back longer. So I'm bending my elbows a little bit so I can pull with my hands to lengthen. And I flexed my toes and curled my toes under because I was getting a foot cramp. You don't have to do that if you can see my feet. And then just nice and easy, lower your belly down. Now, take your arms down by your side. Bend your knees. Now you can keep your head and chest on the ground if you want to. Try to pick up your thighs. Sometimes you need to cushion your pubic bone, so feel free to do so if you want. Then you might lift up the upper body and reach back, but you're purposely not holding onto your ankles. Oh, stretch. And then letting yourself lower down. You can have a little wiggle of your hips. Ooh, I think you're doing some yoga there too, buddy. Which bed, which bed? Oh, which one? Oh, that one wins. And then slide your hands under your shoulders. Come back. And you might wonder, why do I have 2 dog beds down here for him? I don't know. Sometimes he likes to sleep there, sometimes he likes to sleep there. So just walk your arms up and over towards the right, stretching through your left arm. You may have gotten the impression already that he is spoiled. So let your right arm, you know what? He's 12 and I want to spoil him, so that's what's going to happen. And then come back to the center. Now here, I'm going to just turn forward so you can see the flow a little bit more. Start to walk your hands back so you're up on your shins. Draw the arms to the sky. Again, feet can be flat or toes curled under. Let the right hand come down to your thigh. Maybe you can even touch the ground, but sweep the left arm up and over. Then just circle the left arm down. Let it land where it lands, and then take the right arm up. And then this time as the hands come down, take your hands to your low back, and then just lift your heart. Now, you can let the back bend become bigger here if it's comfortable for you, or maybe it's a much more subtle. And then just let the upper body come up. Now you can use your hands however you need to, but we're just going to pick up the right leg and bring it forward. Now, take the blocks if you'd like to. Just take the back toes, curl under, and just sneak the left leg back a little bit so you're not right on top of your kneecap. Now again, lifting up the heart. Now here, we're going to try to pick up the left foot and pull the left heel towards your left glute. Now that might be the extent of it. And notice if you didn't see me do it, how I picked up my hips to do that. Because if you try to do it from really low, it's very difficult, and then you can always sink back down. Now, yogi's choice, you can reach back towards that left foot with the left hand, drawing the foot towards you. If you have the ability to flip your fingers to face the same direction as your toes, that's more of a shoulder thing. And then, trying to do it without screaming, just sink your hips forward. You can take your right hand to your right quad, trying to keep the chest square, because I can already feel my body trying to make me turn open. So it's getting real tight on the right side of my low back, not in a bad way, just in a muscular way. So you have to fight it a little bit. Get another breath where you are. Then you can release down the back foot, pull back, lengthen your right leg. Now, yogi's choice. Either stay in the half split, or if you'd like to, you might even put a block underneath your right glute. Sit back so that way you can fold forward. Now, I know for myself here, if I'm not very conscious of it, I'm going to hyperextend this knee just because I can. So I'm keeping a little bit of a bend in my knee purposely so I can forward fold, especially because my hips are elevated, so my knee's not hyperextending. Now you can play with flexing or pointing your foot. I don't think I've drank enough water today because I keep getting little crampy things going on. So, give yourself a little bit of space. Now from here, we're going to be heading towards the shape of half pigeon, but if you'd rather stay in lizard, that's totally cool too. So just let yourself bend in towards the right knee, heel toe your right foot over towards the left edge of your mat, and then walk the left leg back. Now we're going to do a couple different things here. Taking your back leg, now you don't have to turn the foot, it just gives you more space to twist. Let yourself kind of pick up the foot and sink it to the inside of your foot behind you. So notice how I'm kind of out of whack. So we're breaking rules here, traditional rules, but it's to give you more space. I had to pick up my butt because it was stuck underneath me. And then you might bring your right forearm to the ground. If you can get your right elbow to the foot, you can open it up. Your left arm can wrap behind you or forward, but think of it as you're trying to open up your chest as much as you can. I like to use my right hand here sometimes. You can even rest on your hand, which looks like you're being lazy, but sometimes your head feels like it weighs 30 pounds. Give it another breath. Now here, start to lift up. Roll your chest down. Now take your left leg, lengthen it behind you. Now I'm going to show you a very funky bind. Not everyone's going to like it, and I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to do it on the other side because I'm not sure if my knee will be happy about it. But we're gonna stretch out left hand towards the right knee. But if you wanna bind, right arm will come behind you. You're trying to catch the right foot, and then you might lower down your chest. And then you're trying to roll your chest and your shoulder up to the ceiling. I push into my right arm a lot to help make that happen. Give it another breath. And then you can slowly start to unwind it, square off your chest. And now, yogi's choice. And like I taught at NBX this morning, and I was telling them this there too. For me, at this point in my practice in my body, this shape I don't really feel anymore. For me to actually get some work out of it, I need to scissor through my legs and try to keep my chest lifted. Because I have the mobility in my hip, but I need the strength in my back. And that's when I might even play with starting to pick up the arms. But if you're more in the mood to just sink into it, let yourself sink into it. We all have different goals of what we're working for in our practice, and this is just a chance to explore them. Give it another breath, chest high or low. Now here, let your weight sink over to the right a bit. Swing your left leg around. Now, to the best of your ability, you're gonna stack your knees. If that's uncomfortable for you, you could also straighten the bottom leg, or you could do double pigeon instead. This is Gomukhasana or knee pile. Now from here, take your left arm, flip the left palm up, turn the palm to face behind you, and then just let it drop down. Now you can use the right hand just to guide your left elbow up. I'm actually holding onto my yoga top with my left hand. Or if you want, bring the right arm out to the side, rotate the thumb down, and then letting the right hand come around. And you might be touching hands. I'm actually using my hair a little bit because it's long enough. And then choose to either sit tall or fold forward. You could also be doing this pose laying on your back and holding to your feet. Sometimes when you do that, you need to have a strap or something around the bottom leg so it can stay near you. The more you let your weight drop forward while you're still elongating your low back, more than likely the more sensation you're going to get, so you can gauge it. Give it 2 more breaths if you're okay. And then here, inhale, come on up. And just take a moment to unwind your arms. You might just let them come on down. Now, yogi's choice. Your left leg is already there to shift into the lunge if you just want to go right into the lunge, or you might want to roll over your knees, give a chaturanga, up dog, down dog, or come to the belly. We're going to come to the belly on the second set regardless, so your call. I'm just turning to face towards the front again. So I'm just going to take my left foot forward and then just wiggle my right leg back. So again, you want to try to make sure you're not right up on top of your kneecap, so you might need to wiggle the toes back a little further, or of course cushioning your knee. And then at first you might sink into the lunge, but then let yourself pull up a little bit. That's going to help it bring your heel to the glute. Then you start to pull the right heel towards your glute. You can use your hand to hold it in, and this might be where you stay as far as the shoulder opening, or if you can rotate your fingers to face the toes, go right ahead. And then you try to keep your chest open as you sink your hips. Oh, this is tough stuff. Give it another breath. Try to let yourself breathe through any discomfort or challenge. And then when you're ready, you can release the right foot down. Try not to let it slam down. You might even have to stretch your toes for a second. And then pull back, lengthening the left leg. You're welcome to stay in half split or sliding a block back. Or if you don't need the block, you can come into half hero's pose. I need the block because of my knees. And then again, I'm keeping a little bit of a bend in my left leg so I'm not hyperextending. Forward, folding forward over your left leg. Give it another breath. And you can be as high or as low as you want to in your chest right here. Give it one more round. Inhale, exhale. And then when you're ready to, you can start to let yourself sink in towards the left leg. Now, left leg's going to move over to the right edge of the mat. You might need to lengthen the right leg behind you. Now again, the first part of the pigeon, we're adding a twist, which you don't have to bend this back leg. I just find it a little bit more comfortable. So if you're doing that, kind of pick it up, and then think of big toe side of your foot on the ground. And then either your forearm might come to the floor, you might be able to bring your elbow down to your foot, and just letting yourself twist open. You can use your right arm either behind you to help you lengthen, you can reach it long, just a matter of what feels good. I find really pressing into my left arm to keep the chest lifted is helpful. And then slow, you're going to start to unwind. come back to face towards the front of your mat. Now, straighten out the right leg behind you. If you're trying for the bind, it's a little bit more comfortable if you pull the right foot closer, left foot closer to you. Then stretch the right arm out to the side, that might be it. Or if you can get the left arm around to bind, and even like my hand's not touching my foot, so I want to be careful about the knee. Just try to roll your left shoulder open. It's more about that than physically holding the foot. The foot just helps you do it. And then unwind. When you come back to the center, readjust your left leg as you need to for your kind of straight on half pigeon. And again, you're more than welcome to fold forward. I'm just working right now. I'm trying to stay more elevated. So it's actually a bit more active of a pigeon than a relaxing one. So, because I have to scissor through my legs. If I want to take the arms up, I'm really zipping up, feeling a lot of engagement through the low back and through the belly. You can use your hands on the ground or on blocks, of course, too. Give it 3 more breaths if it's okay. And then from here, lean forward a little bit if you are upright, just so you can take the weight and kind of roll towards the left. And then swing the right leg around. And you don't have to turn your body, I'm just turning so you can see a little better what I'm doing. And then adjusting the knees, the feet, but then you might have to pick up and kind of roll the left glute out from underneath you, especially if you have a little bit of booty. And then from here, I'm going to start to take, I goof up somewhere in there. No, I did that side. So right arm up. And then letting yourself take the right arm behind, left hand out, and then bringing it around. Not 100% sure if this is the same leg on top a second time. And I'm not quite sure how I did that, if that's the case. So if it is for you, just switch it. And then fold forward. You get kind of thrown off because I'm usually teaching mirror image, but sometimes now I'm not teaching mirror image, and so sometimes my left and right brain gets a little bit confused. I think it might be the opposite side because I can tell you right now in my body, this side isn't nearly as happy. Another couple of breaths. Happy places. And then here, inhale, come on up. You can unwind your arms. Now, we're going to end up back on our bum. So you can just unwind your legs, but if you're enjoying the chaturanga transition, feel free. But then take a moment and unwind the legs if you don't feel like doing the whole thing through, and just windshield wiper your legs from side to side. And then the next time your legs drop to the left, you might use your left foot to press off the right leg, and then just walk yourself around so you're facing towards the back of the mat. And then unwind. Flip your knees over to the right. Walk yourself around to the right. Some people like to dip the chest low. I prefer to stay high. And then coming back and around. Now one more time, coming in towards the Baddha Konasana shape. Now this time, instead of pressing down on your legs individually, see if you can sit tall and really pull your legs open, which may or may not make them come to the floor, just meaning that you're doing this more actively. And then if it's okay, try to roll the bottoms of your feet to the sky. And for a lot of people, this is a lot on your ankles, so be mindful. It does help you actually relax your hips. You'll see pictures of Dharma Mitra doing this, and then he puts his feet on his chest. I physically can't comprehend how that's happening, but everything's possible with practice. Now, release. Now, if you'd like to, this time, reaching down for your big toes again, and you can kind of rock the weight back. Start to lift, so just subtle core. You can start to lift the legs, lift the heart if you want to even drop the head back. It can be slightly disorienting, but maybe it's interesting. And then if you want, keep holding on to one leg, float the other one. It just makes it a little bit more challenging. Take the right leg back up, or whatever one you let go of. Let the left leg go. Try to lift up. Take both legs up, and then maybe hover both. And then just nice and easy, you can let the legs come down and just forward fold for a moment. So we're going to be coming down towards our backs in a moment. We're going to do a little bit of a shoulder opener while we're in bridge. It's a little trick from Dave Romanelli, and if you don't like it, you certainly don't have to do it. But if you want to be a little bit more ab work, don't bend your knees and kind of roll down. I'm going to turn a little more sideways. Then press your feet down into the mat. Now think about lift and tuck your left shoulder under, lift and tuck your right shoulder under. Now, if you can clasp your hands underneath you, that's where you're gonna get more of the shoulder opening thing that I'm talking about from Dave. This is actually really hard for me to do. You can also roll your knuckles underneath your mat, but if it's okay, you're gonna sit. You're gonna bring your hips down towards your hands. And it kind of gives you almost like the beginning of fish, and just letting yourself roll the chest open. So, that being said, you could be doing fish. And just give yourself a moment to pause. I, at the moment, am finding it very difficult to breathe because this shape is just not something my body likes to take anymore. Give it another breath. And then lift your hips enough that you can unwind. You might just take a second to roll the hips down to the ground. Now, if you don't have a block, it's okay. You can let yourself even put a pillow underneath your hips, or you'll just stay in regular bridge. I'm just gonna give you bridge with a little bit more of a psoas opening. So, I'm going to the highest point on the block, but it could be low or medium. First, you're in bridge. Kind of tuck the shoulders under, same thing, and you can see how wide my hands want to be. That's why clasping them isn't kind of challenging. And then see if you can lengthen out your legs. And just letting yourself relax a little bit. So it's kind of a more passive or subtle stretch for the psoas, for the front of your quads. Just let your arms drop down, chin can kind of drop in towards the chest. If you'd rather be in the more traditional bridge shape, of course you could be. And then from here, slide your feet back up underneath your knees. Now this time, and you'll probably want to take the block out unless you want the support, lower your hips down. Now this is going to activate your inner thighs a little bit more, and it's a trick for my front step. So heel toe your feet, your knees as close together as possible. If you want to, you can always hold the block between your legs too. And then here again, still tucking the shoulders, lift your hips, but you're trying to keep your legs as close together as you can. So you're gonna feel a little bit more of a squeeze in your glutes. There's definitely more work in your inner thighs. And if you stop thinking about it, you'll probably notice your knees drop wide. So you're really actively pulling them in towards each other to keep the shape. Give it another breath or two. And then when you're ready, you can start to roll shoulders, ribs, hips coming down. Happy baby or bound angle, feet together, knees wide, either one. You have a little sway, little rock from side to side. And we're almost done, just in case you're curious. And then here, let your right leg come down to the ground. Hug your left knee into your belly. Now you can straighten the right leg all the way out, and then use your right hand to guide the left knee off to the right. Give it another breath. Come back through the center. Switch, pull the right knee in, let the left leg go. I'm just looking down to where my water is. And then use your left hand to knock it over. That's what I was gonna say. No, because last week I knocked it over a couple different times, and it's more like a coffee cup, but it keeps the water cold, and then of course it spills. So, another breath. And then come back into the center, and then yogi's choice. You might let your legs go long, you might keep your knees bent, feet can go wide as your knees drop in, arms might come down. If you'd rather do something like legs up the wall or a different variation of Shavasana, you know, this is your time, so letting yourself feel complete in your practice. And then here, feel free, if you'd like to stay and just rest a bit longer, you don't have to get running out to anything. If it's a rainy day and you get to kind of chill, I encourage you to do so. If you are starting to get fidgety because you wanted to move a little bit more actively, feel free to, but I'm guessing if you try, your body may not want to anymore, because it was a little bit of an effort for me to walk from there to there. Amy, I'm wearing my bracelets. And just give yourself the space, you know, as you lay on the ground, maybe you kind of let yourself do a little meditation on the floor or a little yoga nidra. But if you are starting to think about getting back into your day, I know my stomach just reminded me it was lunchtime, so I'm going to go eat some lunch. But you can let the hands come on in towards the heart. And if you did do this practice, I'd highly recommend drinking a little extra water to help kind of flush out any of the gunk you might have kicked loose in your hips or your shoulders today. I hope you were able to create a little bit more space, if not physically, maybe mentally, and I hope you have a most blessed day. Namaste. Sorry, that all rhymed.